Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation with this first slide titled Work, Life, and Leisure. Today, we'll explore how these three elements interconnect and shape our daily experiences. We'll look at balancing work and personal life, the importance of leisure, and how to create a harmonious lifestyle. So, let's dive in and discover some practical insights together. Let's delve into some of the key themes on this slide. First, we see cinema and culture, which highlights how cinema has played a significant role in shaping cultural identities and societal values. Moving on, work in Bombay points to the diverse employment opportunities that have driven the city's growth. Then, there's the women's movement, an important social development advocating for gender equality and women's rights. Next, housing reminds us of the ongoing challenges and innovations in urban living spaces. Land reclamation in Bombay demonstrates how the city has expanded its landmass through innovative engineering techniques. The term Bombay itself reflects the city's central role in this narrative. Transport and transportation emphasize the critical infrastructure developments that support urban mobility. Impact of URBNISATEON on London connects to how rapid city growth influences social and economic patterns. CITIES and CHLNGS broadens this view, addressing issues like congestion and resource management. The city of colonial India highlights the historical context of urban development under colonial rule. Garden City introduces ideas of planned urban environments aimed at balancing nature and urban life. Housing in Bombay, again, underscores the importance of living conditions, while major employment points to the key sectors that sustain urban economies. London politics reminds us how political decisions shape city development, and Cleaning in London reflects efforts to improve urban sanitation. Lastly, Rise of London encapsulates the city's historical growth from a small settlement into a global metropolis. Altogether, these points illustrate the interconnectedness of urban development, culture, and social change, aligning with our broader theme of understanding how cities evolve and influence society. London was a large city with a huge population, and what's really remarkable is how quickly it grew during the 19th century. Over just 70 years, from 1810 to 1880, its population multiplied fourfold, jumping from about 1 million people to 4 million. This rapid growth was largely driven by people moving from the countryside into the city, seeking new opportunities and a better life. This trend is a key example of how urban centers like London transformed during the Industrial Revolution, becoming hubs of industry and population. It really highlights the massive social and economic changes happening at that time, which are central to understanding the broader theme of this presentation. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the key employment areas within this industry. Specialized manufacturing plays a significant role here, covering important trades such as the making of surgical instruments and objects of precious metals. These are highly skilled and valuable industries that require precision and expertise. We also see wood and furniture manufacturing, which is another vital sector, providing both craftsmanship and essential goods. Moving on, the metal and engineering sector is quite prominent as well, supporting a wide range of industrial needs. Clothing and footwear manufacturing also contributes significantly to employment, reflecting a diverse industrial base. Notably, the London dockyard has historically been a major employment hub, especially for shipping and trade activities. All of these areas together form a major employment sector that supports the economy and highlights the industrial strength of this region. This diversity in employment sectors underscores the importance of manufacturing and trade to the overall economic landscape we're examining today. As London expanded rapidly during this period, we see that crime also increased significantly, with around 20,000 criminals recorded in the 1870s. It's important to understand that many of these individuals came from impoverished backgrounds, turning to crime as a way to survive. To manage this, the authorities tried to maintain order by not only imposing stricter discipline, but also offering jobs to those who were genuinely deserving. Factories played a big role here, providing employment opportunities for women, which was a step forward. However, the rise of industrialization also brought about unemployment, especially as machines replaced manual labor. Many women, facing limited options, resorted to activities like making matchboxes, an example of how economic shifts affected everyday lives. All these points highlight how urbanization, while driving growth, also created complex social challenges that needed to be managed carefully. It's a clear reflection of how the rapid changes in London's landscape impacted its people, shaping the city's social fabric during this transformative era. So, during this period, housing conditions took a significant turn for the worse. Housing became not only cheap, but also increasingly unsafe. Many people, especially the poor, were allowed to live in apartments and multi-story buildings, but these structures were often poorly constructed and lacked proper safety measures. As a result, the living conditions were both unsafe and unhygienic. This situation had serious consequences. The poor, who had limited options, faced early deaths because of these hazardous living environments. In fact, life expectancy for the poorest segments was around 29 years, which is alarmingly low. Meanwhile, the middle and upper classes who had better living conditions could expect to live up to about 55 years. This contrast highlights a stark inequality in living standards, and it underscores how poor housing conditions directly impacted health and longevity. Overall, this reflects a broader theme of social disparity during this time, where economic status heavily influenced quality of life, especially in terms of housing and health. During this period, efforts were made to decongest the urban areas. The idea was to create more green open spaces and reduce pollution, which was becoming a serious concern. To achieve this, large blocks of apartments were built, helping to accommodate more people in a more organized and less crowded way. Between the years of World War I and the start of World War II, the British state took responsibility for housing. This was a significant shift, reflecting a broader recognition of the importance of proper urban planning and public welfare. These initiatives were part of the larger effort to improve living conditions and make cities more livable, connecting to our overall theme of evolving urban landscapes and public health improvements. So, on this slide, we're looking at the concept of the Garden City. An architect and planner named Ebenezer Howard originally envisioned this idea, aiming to create a better living environment. Later, other notable designers like Raymond Unwin and Barry Parker contributed to shaping it further. The Garden City of New Yearswick was designed to be a pleasant place, full of lush plants and trees, where people could both live and work comfortably. The idea was to blend urban and natural elements seamlessly. There would be common gardens and open spaces, providing areas for relaxation and community activities. These beautiful locations were integral to fostering a sense of harmony and well-being. The overall goal was to create a balanced, healthy environment that prioritized green spaces and community living, which connects directly to the broader theme of improving urban life through thoughtful planning and innovation. So, as we look at the Underground Railway, it's clear that it played a significant role in addressing the housing crisis. By providing a reliable way to transport large numbers of people into and out of London, it helped to ease some of the pressure on housing within the city itself. Essentially, it wasn't just about getting people from point A to point B. It also helped spread the population more evenly, making it possible for people to live farther from their workplaces. This connection between improved transportation and housing relief really highlights how infrastructure can have a broader social impact. The Underground Railway, therefore, was more than just a transit system. It was a part of the solution to London's growing urban challenges. Men and women did not have equal access to urban lives during this period. Men generally occupied public spaces, engaging in work, politics, and social activities outside the home. Women, on the other hand, were often confined to the domestic sphere, focusing on family and household duties. Despite these restrictions, women began to join various movements advocating for their rights. They demanded important changes, such as the right to vote and property rights for married women, which gained momentum around 1870. This shift also reflects a transformation in family structures, which became smaller and more centered around individual needs. These developments are crucial as they highlight the ongoing struggle for gender equality and the wider push for social reform during this era. In 1886, we saw a significant moment when the London poor erupted into a riot, demanding relief from their harsh poverty conditions. This was a clear sign of the growing unrest among the urban working class. The following year, 1887, there was a similar uprising, which was met with brutal force by the police during what became known as Bloody Sunday in November. These events highlight how a large city population can be both a threat, in terms of social unrest, and an opportunity, because it also represents a powerful force for change. Understanding these riots helps us see how the political landscape of London was deeply influenced by the struggles and demands of its people. It underscores the importance of political responses to urban poverty and the complexities of managing such a large, diverse population. Let's take a closer look at some of the key cities during colonial India. Calcutta and Madras, for example, were truly multifunctional urban centers. They weren't just places where people lived, they also housed major ports, which facilitated trade and connectivity. These cities had warehouses to store goods, homes and offices for residents and businesses, and even institutions like schools and government offices. Additionally, they were home to army barracks, museums, and libraries, making them vibrant hubs of economic, military, and cultural activity. Moving on to Bombay, we see a different aspect of urban development. Overall, the pace of urbanization in colonial India was relatively slow. Only about 11% of the population lived in cities, which indicates that most people still resided in rural areas. This urban growth was concentrated mainly in the three presidency cities, Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay, which played central roles in administration, trade, and industry. Understanding these cities helps us see how colonial India was structured, where the major centers of power, commerce, and culture were located, and how slowly urbanization progressed during this period. It's a crucial piece of the bigger picture of India's colonial transformation. So back in the 17th century, Bombay was actually a collection of 7 separate islands, and at that time, it was under Portuguese control. It's interesting to see how these islands played a role in global trade even then. Then, in 1661, a significant event took place. Bombay was transferred to the British. This happened because of a marriage between King Charles II of Britain and a Portuguese princess, and as part of the dowry, Bombay became British territory. Initially, Bombay's importance was tied to the textile trade. It served as a major outlet for cotton textiles coming from Gujarat. Over time, its commercial significance expanded to include the trade of large quantities of cotton and opium. This shift highlights how Bombay gradually grew into a crucial hub for trade, connecting regional resources to global markets. Throughout this period, Bombay's evolving role reflects broader themes of colonial influence and economic transformation, which are key to understanding how it developed into the major city it is today. In 1819, Bombay officially became the capital of the Bombay Presidency, marking a significant turning point in its development. As trade, especially in cotton and opium, grew rapidly, large communities of traders, bankers, artisans, and shopkeepers settled in the city, transforming it into a bustling commercial hub. The establishment of the first cotton mill in 1854 further accelerated this growth, attracting many people from different regions to migrate to Bombay in search of work and opportunities. Women played an important role in the mill workforce during this period, contributing significantly to the city's industrial activities. However, by the 1930s, technological advancements led to machines replacing many of these women's jobs, and men took over the roles that women once held. This shift highlights how industrial progress and mechanization impacted employment and social structures in Bombay, tying into our overall theme of economic and social transformation during this era. Bombay was an overcrowded city during the 1800s, with just about 9.4 square yards of space per person. To put that in perspective, compare that to London, which had around 155 square yards per person at the same time. That's a huge difference, highlighting just how densely packed Bombay was. And when it comes to housing, London had about 8 people living in each house, while in Bombay, up to 20 people might share a single dwelling. This really shows the extent of crowding and the living conditions that people faced. If we look at the Bombay fort area in the 1800s, it was essentially divided into 2 main sections, one where native Indians lived, and a separate, designated European or white section. This division reflects the colonial social structure and how space was allocated based on race and class, which was typical of that era. All of these points tie back to the overall theme of urbanization and colonial influence, showing how the city's layout and living conditions were shaped by social hierarchies and economic pressures. The 7 islands of Bombay, as many of you know, were originally separate land masses. Over time, these islands were gradually joined together through various land reclamation efforts, transforming the city into the bustling metropolis we see today. One of the key figures in this process was William Hornby, the Bombay governor, who approved the construction of a large wall. This wall was built primarily to prevent flooding in the low-lying areas, which was a significant concern given the city's geography and monsoon rains. Moving forward to 1864, we see another major development with the Back Bay Reclamation Company. They undertook the ambitious project of reclaiming the western foreshore, stretching from the tip of Malabar Hill all the way to the end of Colaba. This reclamation not only expanded the land area, but also provided space for new buildings, infrastructure, and commercial development, really shaping the modern layout of Mumbai. And then, in 1918, there was the creation of the Rent Act. This legislation was designed to keep rents reasonable, making housing more affordable and addressing the needs of a growing population. All these efforts, land reclamation, infrastructure improvements, and housing regulations, highlight how the city has continuously evolved to meet its residents' needs. So you can see that land reclamation wasn't just about expanding the physical space. It was also about shaping the social and economic fabric of Bombay, and later Mumbai, into a thriving urban center. Bombay is often seen by many as Mayapuri, a city of dreams. It's a place where the film industry reflects both aspirations and struggles. Many Bombay films focus on the arrival of new migrants, highlighting their challenges and the real-life pressures they face as they try to build a new life. This connection between cinema and the city's social reality is quite significant. For example, Harish Chandra SB shot a scene of a wrestling match in Bombay's Hanging Gardens, which is considered India's first movie scene. And then, in 1913, Dadasaheb Phalke directed Raja Harishchandra, which holds the distinction of being India's first full-length feature film. These early films mark the beginning of Indian cinema, deeply rooted in the cultural and social fabric of Bombay. So, the city not only inspired the stories told on screen, but also helped shape the very foundation of Indian filmmaking, connecting culture, dreams, and reality in a powerful way. Thank you for your attention. As we wrap up, I want to emphasize how the expansion of factories, housing, and other institutions during this period led to significant harms to our natural features. The increased demand for space often came at the expense of the environment, disrupting natural landscapes and ecosystems. Additionally, the rise in coal usage in homes and industries produced black smoke, which was not only unsightly, but also a serious health hazard due to the harmful pollution it generated. This smoke contributed to smog, respiratory problems, and environmental degradation. It's also important to note that factory owners and steam engine operators often hesitated to invest in cleaner technologies. Their focus was on efficiency and profit, which meant they continued to produce large amounts of smoke and release harmful chemicals into the air. Overall, these challenges highlight the environmental cost of rapid industrial growth, reminding us of the importance of balancing progress with sustainability. Thank you very much.